Welcome back to Learn English Quickly with Podcast, the podcast that helps you speak English with confidence. I'm your host, Decent.
And I'm Olivia. It's great to have you with us again. In episode 3, we dove deep into pronunciation, discussing stress, intonation, and rhythm.
Yes, and today we're going to build on that even further by focusing on practical pronunciation exercises to help you speak clearly and confidently.
That's right. No matter how much we understand grammar or vocabulary, if our pronunciation isn't clear, it can make communication difficult. So today, we're giving you tools to improve.
Exactly. So let's talk about some common barriers people face when trying to improve pronunciation.
One of the biggest barriers is not hearing the differences in sounds. In English, there are so many vowel sounds that don't exist in other languages. For example, the difference between the short E in bet and the long E in beat.
Right. And this makes it really challenging because learners might not even notice the difference. So, what can we do to address that?
The first step is awareness. When learners start paying attention to these differences, they can start improving. One of the best ways to work on this is to practice with minimal pairs.
So, minimal pairs again like bit and beat, right?
Exactly. You could listen to native speakers say these pairs, then try to imitate their pronunciation. The key here is repetition and constant practice.
I see. So, it's not just about understanding the words, but hearing and reproducing the subtle differences. What other techniques do you recommend for practicing pronunciation?
One powerful technique is called shadowing. Shadowing is when you listen to a native speaker and try to repeat exactly what they're saying, mimicking their pronunciation, rhythm, and intonation. It's like having a real-time conversation with a recording.
That sounds great! So, it's like being a parrot, but it helps with muscle memory, right?
Exactly. By repeating words and sentences out loud, you're training your mouth and vocal cords to move in a way that is natural for speaking English.
And you could use movies, podcasts, or even YouTube videos for this, right?
Yes, any material with a clear and natural flow of English is great. You can even slow down the video or audio if you're just starting out. And as you become more confident, increase the speed.
Nice. So, we've talked about awareness, minimal pairs, and shadowing. Another big challenge is the fear of making mistakes. How can we help learners overcome that fear?
That's such a great question. The fear of making mistakes can prevent learners from speaking up. But it's important to realize that making mistakes is a natural part of the learning process. Every time you make a mistake, you're getting closer to improving.
So, mistakes are just opportunities to learn, right?
Exactly. Instead of being afraid of them, embrace them. The more you practice, the more confident you will become, and the less afraid of mistakes you'll be.
That's very encouraging. Now, let's focus on something specific. In English, certain sounds are harder for non-native speakers to pronounce. What are some of those sounds, and how can learners improve them?
A common one is the th sound, like in the words think and that. Many learners substitute it with a d or t sound, but with practice, the correct tongue placement becomes natural.
I know that one. So, how do you make the th sound?
For the voiced the sound, like in that, put your tongue between your teeth and make a vibrating sound. For the unvoiced teach, like in think, your tongue still goes between your teeth, but it's a softer sound. Try saying both words slowly while focusing on your tongue placement.
Got it. I'll practice that. What other sounds tend to be tricky?
The and l sounds are another challenge. The r sound, especially in words like right and red, can be difficult for learners, particularly because many languages don't have that sound.
Ah, the trickier sound. How do you pronounce it correctly?
The key is to round your lips slightly and curl the tip of your tongue slightly upwards, without touching the roof of your mouth. It should be a soft, continuous sound.
I see. So it's about tongue positioning. What about the L sound?
For the L sound, your tongue should touch the roof of your mouth, right behind your teeth. The trick is to make sure the air flows around the tongue, not under it.
That's really helpful. Now, what can learners do to improve their fluency and speak more naturally?
One exercise that really helps is reading out loud. Choose a passage from a book, an article, or even your favorite song lyrics and read them aloud. Focus on your pronunciation, but also on how the sentences flow together. This helps with rhythm and natural speech patterns.
That sounds like a fun exercise. So, reading out loud can help with fluency and rhythm. Any other tips for making speech sound more natural?
Another helpful technique is called chunking. This is where you break sentences into smaller, more manageable parts or chunks. For example, instead of saying, "I'm going to the store to buy some groceries," you could say, "I'm going to the store and to buy some groceries." This makes it easier to speak quickly and clearly.
So, it's like learning to speak in phrases rather than word by word. That makes sense.
Exactly. And the more you practice speaking in chunks, the more your speech will sound fluid and natural.
I can already see how this would make a big difference in fluency. Finally, what's a good way to keep track of progress?
A great way to track progress is to record yourself speaking regularly. You can compare your old recordings with newer ones and hear how much you've improved. This also helps you spot areas that still need work.
That's a great tip. It's motivating to hear how much you've improved over time.
Definitely. The key is consistency. Even a few minutes of practice each day will make a huge difference in the long run.
Well, that's all the time we have for today. We hope these tips help you feel more confident in your pronunciation. Remember, practice is the key to improvement.
That's right. And don't forget to embrace your mistakes. Keep practicing and keep pushing forward.
Thanks for joining us for episode 4. In our next episode, we'll be discussing ways to improve your listening skills. Until then, keep speaking and keep practicing.
Goodbye for now, and see you at episode 5.
Before we end, let's dive into some quick exercises to try at home to reinforce all of the tips we've shared today. These are simple yet effective practices you can incorporate into your daily routine.
Great idea. One of the first exercises is to choose 5 words you've always had trouble with and practice them every day. You can try using them in sentences, making sure to focus on the pronunciation as well as your intonation.
That's a good practice. Another exercise I love is shadowing news reports or radio shows. Find a segment that interests you, pause it every few sentences, and repeat what was said exactly.
Yes. I also recommend focusing on word endings. It's common for learners to leave off endings like ed or ing, but pronouncing these endings correctly is essential for clarity and fluency.
That's a great point. Many learners neglect the final sounds of words, but this is a crucial part of sounding more natural.
And lastly, take some time to practice tongue twisters. These are great for improving your articulation, and they can be really fun. Try saying them quickly while maintaining clarity.
Tongue twisters are a great challenge. They help your mouth move faster and more accurately. Let's finish with some fun examples of tongue twisters. Olivia, are you ready?
I'm always ready for a challenge. Here we go. She sells seashells by the seashore.
Nice! How about this one? Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers.
I love that one. And finally, how much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood?
Those are fun and tricky. Make sure to practice these tongue twisters regularly. They'll help improve your speech precision and fluency. Remember, small but consistent effort is the key to mastering pronunciation.
Exactly. Keep practicing, and don't forget every small improvement leads to bigger progress.
We'll see you in the next episode with even more tips and exercises to keep you on track. Take care and keep practicing.